Right, I've got to be quick to show you this. I just came out here. I just realized for about 20 minutes at the start of the day, that little corner there is a bit of a sun trap. So I'm thinking, if I tidied up this area, maybe even put a lick of paint on the bricks, this could be a sort of breakfast place where I could just come out, sit down and enjoy the sunshine. Oh, as Elsie Tanner said in Coronation Street, I feel about ready for the knacker yard. Yesterday was a day, and I'll tell you about it as I make myself a cup of tea using leaves. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Now, when you're doing leaf tea, you put one per person and one for the pot. I've discovered that during the home front period of the 1940s, you were allowed 1 egg a week. But if you were vegetarian, you were allowed 2 eggs a week. There you go. It's a little fact you didn't want to know. Oh, I forgot to warm the pot. I am thinking of keeping my eyes open for a new teapot, because that, I must admit, is quite large. So I'm looking for, is it a Betty Brown they call them? A smaller teapot. So if you see one online, let me know. So, yesterday, went to the chiropractor. He turned my neck to the right, turned it to the left, and did something to the back. And it was nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. You see these videos online, and as they turn the neck, you hear this almighty crack, which is the gas going out from between the joints. But I didn't feel anything at all. Didn't hear anything, didn't feel anything. So he did that for a bit, and then he said, go off on your way. Don't do anything too strenuous, but try and keep the legs walking. So I went for a haircut, as you can see. And where did I go after that? Oh yes, so a few hours after that, I then went to Cardiff. But I thought, I'm not going to drive, because you'd spend half your time trying to find somewhere to park. So I thought I'd catch the train. So I caught the train down to Pontypridd, then changed, and then got a direct train down to Cardiff Bay. And I went down there because I was going to see Calamity Jane, the touring musical. Now, Carrie Hope Fletcher started off as a YouTuber, and I think she's still doing it. But she's made her way up through the musical theatre line. She worked on an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical last time, I think, and was in The Addams Family. Well, she's on tour, so I don't know whether there's a plan to take this into the West End or not. I do not know. I went to the Millennium Centre, which I've been to before. And I don't know if it's my seats, but I just feel there's a bit of a disconnect between what's going on stage and the audience space. You don't feel as connected as if you were in the West End. But it could be the seats that I'm buying. Yesterday's seat was £42. I bought this back in October, and it was better than the last seat I had, which was upstairs for 20. So I'm slowly making my way downstairs, trying to find where the best spot is. As a musical, I'd give it 7 out of 10. Some of the casting was a bit off. I can't remember the character's name now, but he just didn't have the gravitas to pull that role off. And I noticed they've changed some of the words in the song. You know the song, Take Me Back to the Black Hills of Dakota, to the beautiful Indian country that I love. That's gone. The Indians have moved out. They've gone somewhere else. Now it was, Take me back to the Black Hills of Dakota, to the beautiful mountainous country that I love. So there was a bit where the audience were encouraged to sing along, and everybody was singing the different words. But it was funny that when they got to that bit, rather than saying the Indian word, you could hear the cast emphasizing mountainous to try and get it into everybody's brain. But the problem was, even though I had a very good seat, I could feel my left leg twinging a bit. And I thought, I just want to stretch my leg out because there's no space in those seats. And I thought, what I'm going to do is, when the audience start to applaud now, I'm going to shimmy up the stairs and just stand at the back, which is what I did. So I stood for the rest of the show, and then in the interval I went out to buy an ice cream for £4. A little sorbet was £4, and a can of elderflower drink was £4, but that's fine. That seemed reasonable. But it was this little tub of, you put the spoon in and 3 spits and it's gone. So I went back inside, and the usher said, "Oh, you can sit there. You can stay at the back, but there's a seat there. Just pull it down." So I pulled it down, and I sat there. And there was one bit where I couldn't really see what was going on. So I went to go up to have a look behind this guy's head. Oh, and my back went. So I was at the back trying discreetly to get my cool spray out, lift up my shirt and give my back a bit of a spray. Now I could smell it. I don't know if anybody else could smell this stuff, but it had to be done. And then watched the end of the show and then thought, right, I could go for a little walk around Cardiff, but it was 5:10 and it was already getting quite cold. So I thought, no, I'm going to go home. So I jumped on a very packed train, and as we were going up to the valley, I said to the guy by the side of me, "Which station are you going to get out at?" Because I found I couldn't relax until I knew what station this guy was coming out at. Hold on, let's pour a cup of tea. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm a bit short of milk. I'll have to go and buy some later. So I said, "Which station are you going out? Because I've got a bad back and I won't be able to jump up and to let you out." So he told me, and I thought, right, that's about 3 stations away, but I better start moving now. So I started to get up, and there was a girl sat in a 4-seater bay. And I just said to her, "Excuse me, but I think I'm about to fall on the floor, so you might want to move." So she did. And then I just stood there for about 5 minutes with my legs and my hand up in the air. And 3 people said, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And I said, "Bad back, I'll be fine." And again, trying to get the shirt up to give it a bit of a spray, and then sat down. And then we got to Treherbert, and I stood up like Lazarus. Everything was fine. And then walked back to the car, and then drove home. And then last night, I'm finding now, if I stand up, I'm fine. But if I sit down, it's difficulty trying to get back up. And now I'm getting pain in a different area than I did yesterday, which he did say to me that this was going to happen because there's a few things that need to be done. So I'm going back at the start of next week to have another little prod. Maybe I'll ask him if I can take the camera in so that you can see what's going on. So last night was quite painful, but I have managed in the last 2 days to make some food, because last week was so bad. There were some days where I didn't eat, or I was sending out for fish and chips. And in fact, one night when I sent out for fish and chips, I sent out for a few pies as well, and I kept them in the fridge. So I've been having a pie. So what else happened yesterday? Because yesterday felt like it was a bit of a full-on day, and Usually at the moment, I tend to get exhausted during the afternoon and I have to have a bit of a sleep. But yesterday I didn't. So when I went to bed at 10 o'clock, my head hit the pillow and I just went. Oh, another thing. I can see there's a lot of comments on the videos over the last week. But the problem I'm finding is I can't sit down to reply to them. So be assured that all your comments are being seen. It's just at the moment I just can't sit at a desk, and trying to do it on the phone with these fat fingers is very frustrating in itself. Oh, I forgot to put my tea cozy on. There you go. Keep the old head warm. Right, pop that on the old kettle. So today now I've woken up and it's feeling a bit sore. I can feel the sciatic nerve because he said that's what it is. I can feel that. But I don't know what I'm going to do today. But I'm pleased that I've went out into the garden this morning. It is currently 6 degrees. Oh, when's it going to warm up? I said to him, I think it's something to do with the cold as well, because I do know people who their bones get a bit, and their body gets a bit stiff during the colder weather, and then once the warmer weather comes, they're jumping around like alpine goats. Oh, it's a bit cold, that is. I must have spoken for longer than I thought. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm concerned that, these videos are getting a bit boring now. It's just not a lot's going on. So a lot of you sent me some questions the other week. So what I might do is spend an hour or two sitting down, answering the questions. So if next week the back gets worse, I've got a video in storage that I can put out and you can see. Regarding gardening, it'll just get done when it'll get done. I'm not going to be able to get as much as I wanted to get done this year. So we'll just do a little, do it often, and see where we end up in a few months. Now, I'm not starting the wartime diet yet. I'm still in the process of researching things. Oh, Lord Woolton pie. That's the one that I did the last time. So what I'll do is, similar to what I did the last time, is I'll find a recipe from the 40s and I will do it exactly as the book says for the first time. And then the next time we'll then slightly change it, because this Lord Woolton pie, it was okay, but it was a bit grey. And it could have done with a few peas, maybe a stock cube. But we'll explore that as we go along. Parsnip pie. That might be a good one to start with. Right, my voice is going, so I'm going to have a little stroll around. I never strolled around this house as much as I have in the last week. Let's continue and do a bit more strolling. In fact, let's stroll into I don't know what it's called, not the living room, the other room. Now in Wales, you usually have a room you don't go into, and it's called the parlour. It's where you lay out the bodies. So when the funeral comes, the coffin goes in there. And strangely enough, it's always the one behind the front door. So when you open the front door, it's always one behind, which has always baffled me. Because I remember funerals where the coffin was in there, and there'd be this rigmarole of you'd have to close the front door, take the coffin into the living room, then somehow you'd have to tip it up in order to go up the stairs backwards a bit. Then you open the front door and then the coffin goes out. Although I remember one funeral where they took the window out and just pushed him out, which was a lot easier. So I don't know what to call this room. In fact, I don't think you've seen this room for quite a few months. When is the spring coming? That's what she's thinking. And the other one is sleeping in a box. This room here, I don't know what we call this room. Quick check on my potatoes. They're chitting really well. This is the process of getting these chits, which will give a very nice crop. You don't have to chit because a farmer doesn't chit, but for the domestic grower, in fact during the wartime, let me see if I can find one, during 1940, something like that, would have been cut down the middle to make 2 potatoes. But doing that, there is a risk of more infection getting inside. But that's what they used to do. So this is what's in this room. Is my bike, which has become a bit of a clothes horse. And then over here, I managed to get some very good prices in the end of New Year sales. There was a company that was going bust and they were selling off these. So I bought a treadmill, which I'm using every day at the moment for my back. A mirror, just to check on your progress. There's a bench down there. And my bikes. In fact, what I'm thinking of is pumping up the tyres of the bike nearest the camera, and taking that out. Well, not at the moment, not with this bad bat, but to get it ready for the spring. At the moment, it's a bit of everything. The library's in the corner. And if you're an old-time watcher, you'll remember the rusty cat up there. Yeah, so at the moment, it's a bit of an odds and sods room. I did think about painting this, but I'm a bit unsure how to do it properly. I've got the paints, but you just daub it on. Can you just do that, or do you have to go through the rigmarole of removing the paint and cleaning it down? Can't you just throw the paint on? In fact, there is a possibility, I have thought this, that this cabinet here may move down to the summer house when the summer house is clear and finished, because I think it would make a very good setting as a kitchen, so I could put a stove inside it and things like that. What do you think? Well, these daffodils did very good service. There's a very heavy scent to them, maybe a bit too heavy. We'll now recycle them by putting them into the compost bin. Well, we're coming to the end of the day now, and I'm trying to get in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll be heading off myself soon. What sort of time do you head off to bed? I'll make a cup of tea when I go as well. But I had some more bags of compost sent to me. There are plants inside. GM. What's this one? Papa. Oh, that is a poppy. I can't think of the word then. Hydrangea, but called bonfire. Oh, another poppy. I've got 2 poppies of the same thing. Carl Forster. This is grass. And this grass grows to about 6 foot tall. I've had that in the past. Another poppy. I obviously loved this poppy. Some more grass called Fairy Tales. And another grass called Flamingo. Right, as you can see, the time's getting on. I'm feeling a bit tired, to be honest. So I'm going to put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, and then, as my old grandmother used to say, I'm going to head up to the wooden hill. Bye for now. Catch up with you next time.